How's it going, wrestling fans? Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Wrestle Report, episode 11 with Phil and Don. I'm your host, Phil.
And I'm Don.
And it's been a couple weeks, but we are back, and we got plenty to catch up on. We had a little vacation there. Don went to Texas. How was Texas, man?
Like they said, everything's bigger in Texas.
Especially the food, you said, right?
Especially the food, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Gained about 15 pounds out there.
But now he's back, and there's been not only is there a lot of wrestling, but there's been a lot of good wrestling. So I think there's plenty to catch up on. I think a good theme to start here with, there's been a lot of title changes in the past, week to 10 days or so. And I don't think any more important. We'll start at the top here on Monday Night Raw. Drew McIntyre regaining the WWE Championship against Randy Orton in what was a very good match. I didn't love the whole restart thing. I think they should have just kind of went at it or maybe made it no DQ from the start, but that's a little nitpick. But I think this was a cool idea. And the past couple of years, there's just been this stigma of the Survivor Series main event changes last minute. I think this will be the third year in a row. So if that's just something that they want to keep rolling with, then they did a great job on this. But that obviously makes, we'll talk Survivor Series later. That makes Drew and Roman what I would assume is the main event if it's not the Team Raw versus Team SmackDown deal. But Drew is champion again, and I think that's the right call. Orton winning a Hell in the Cell was fine, but I think moving forward, Drew is the future. So he needed to it was fine, him taking that one loss, but I think he's the guy moving forward. So it's good he got the belt back.
Yeah, and it's definitely cool because now Randy Orton has 14 titles now. So he's cute. He's building, and we might actually get that John Cena Randy Orton match to figure out who is the greatest champion.
Yeah, if they both get to 16 and then, in a year or two they get that. And I think a lot of people would hate that, but that is a role I'm okay with both of those guys in at this point. And I think we talked about it before. I feel they're going to have to make Cena win that, not because he would lobby for it at this stage in his career, but I do think that's what would need to happen. But yeah, Orton is the difference is he's always been there. He might take little stints of time off, but as long as he's been there, having him win the title, even for a short time, every couple years, just reminds people this is still he's probably the locker room leader, probably not in a raw sort of way, but I imagine he's the guy that makes that ship go. So it's good to put him on top every once in a while, just to remind everybody who's the top dog that's there consistently is.
Yeah, definitely. I think he only really took time off when he's hurt. Really,
yeah,
he's always there. And he's a veteran. Definitely a veteran. It's funny still you call him the legend killer, but now he's a legend. So it's
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for that to come back around. A guy, not necessarily him, but a guy like Adam Cole, or which Adam Cole is older than we realize. He's just young to the WWE audience. But no, eventually there'll be he's the legend getting killed story, and I don't know who's gonna quite take up that mantle, but it's it's like Batman, who's gonna be the next one with the mask and cape. But I think it'll happen one day, and as long as they pick the right guy, I think it'd been cool. I know they flirted with that idea years ago with CM Punk, but I don't think Orton was old enough to fully be the legend yet. But now, absolutely, it's just a matter of could it be someone like Pete Dunne even? That would be pretty cool. But yeah.
Moxley? Ooh.
Oh, I think you mentioned that last couple. That's a match I need right there in my life that we don't have yet.
Take my money.
Yeah, exactly. Can he just win the the NXT belt real quick? That way they can do a champion versus champion or something.
There you go.
But speaking of NXT, not that this is a title change, but I'll mention it before the actual title change. Finn Balor did return to NXT. He did not have to vacate the title. He had was it a broken jaw, I believe, broken in 2 or 3 places. It's been wired shut for 2-3 weeks, and he's back out. And you can see, his face is puffy, and you can tell it's not where it needs to be. You can tell his talking was limited, but he did go out there and cut a promo. Very good that he doesn't have to vacate the belt, because that would just be terrible after the thing with Cross, and of course Balor having the stigma of vacating the Universal title when it first came around would have been a really big damper on his career that nobody would have wanted to see. So I think he'll have to come along slowly, which is understandable, but it's not a title change, but it's still a positive that he didn't have to give up the title, because 2 forfeits in a row would just do very negative things for the title. So it's good to see he's going to be the champ moving forward.
Yeah, and I was watching NXT yesterday, and I was like, is he gonna actually like get physical? Is he clear? Is he just there just just show, oh, I'm here, I'm good, I'm alive type thing? We'll see what happens. I still don't know who's gonna be next to go against him. I have a feeling Killer Cross is gonna probably be his first matchup. Then who wins that? Like,
Yeah,
who's gonna win that?
They might have to throw him somebody beforehand. I think at this rate, because we do have a takeover coming up, more on that later. That's a tease in the business that we call that. But I think his first he might get like a quick tune-up match on NXT TV, but I don't think he's really going to be in a long-standing match until takeover. I think that gives him a few more weeks to get the jaw right and everything. But at least he's back, and the NXT, it's been good. Like while I watch AEW live, I always go back and check, especially got to see what McAfee's doing. More on him later. But, the show did feel a little hollow without the world champion, especially with what's going on with the North American title, because that is the new champ on NXT. Leon Ruff, not Leo Rush, because that's what some people have mistaken him for. Leo Rush upsetting Johnny Gargano 2 weeks ago. He's spun a wheel of challengers, and it ended up on this guy. And he ended up with the shocking win. It was very 1-2-3 Kid versus Razor Ramon type stuff. This is a guy which I feel bad about this, but I like to be honest on the show. I'm watching AEW, and sometimes I'm able to find NXT on Twitch, and I put it on my iPad. Sometimes I'm not. I was able to find it that week, and I felt bad not knowing who Leon Ruff was, but apparently that's part of the gimmick. Like, he was a jobber on Raw like a month ago. But I turn it on, it's on my little screen. The sound's not on, and I just glance, and I see North American title graphic. I see this dude, and I see Johnny Gargano, and I really thought it was Isaiah Scott. Just the second I turned it on, and I'm like, hell yeah, I wish, he'd win. And then he won, and I saw the name, and I'm like, I watched, the last 2 minutes of this match, not even realizing who it is. And I would have felt bad. I would have felt worse if it was a mainstay guy on the roster. But obviously, this title change, that was part of the gimmick. It was this guy out of nowhere. So and the whole sight of him trying to put the belt on his waist and it just falling straight to his feet, genius. I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't want to give him that much credit, but that just summed up that whole thing when Martinez tried to put the belt on him and it just plopped down.
And it's funny because you see his face when it drops to the ground too. He's like. I thought that was pretty funny, man. I'm happy for him. I heard that when he was in the main roster, he was actually really, really loved by all the everyone wanted him to be the jobber for him, or wanted him to be the jobber for them.
Yeah,
because he sold. He was a seller, man. Well, I don't know if you ever saw the Sheamus match. Oh my gosh,
that's the one that's the one that keeps floating around. It's like, he was on Raw this week, and here's him getting kicked in the head by Sheamus. That's the one that's been going around. It's funny. I mean, I can't remember the last time. I mean, it really reminds me of Santino Marella type stuff, when he came in and.
I said the same thing, bro. I was like, when Santino Marella went against Umaga and Bobby Lashley came out and helped him out,
right?
And then in this one, Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano, and Damian Priest comes in and distracts Gargano.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3.
I called him Punishment Martinez a minute ago because that was his old name. You knew who I meant. I think most people did. But Damian Priest. Sorry, but I assume that's where this story eventually goes. But he did successfully defend it again against Gargano. So I guess he's gonna go off and do other things. I did love the whole going to William Ring. Listen, man, this was supposed to be a joke. I never meant to have to try against this guy. And Regal's like, hey man, tough shit, basically. But no, that was great. That was anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation type moment, as they used to say.
I don't know if you caught it, but they're actually gonna have a triple threat match. I think.
Okay.
Takeover.
All right.
So it's gonna be Leon Ruff's first takeover match.
Hey, good for him. That's crazy. I mean, clear, like you said, he got in that spot from doing what he can with the spot he was given originally. Like you said, I've actually heard these stories of Matt Hardy did the AEW podcast this week, and he talked about when they broke into WWF when they were jobbers. all the guys wanted to work with them because they sold, like you were just saying, they sold as much as they did. And Jeff's first match was because the guy that was supposed to job the Scott Hall didn't want to take the Razor's Edge. He thought it was too dangerous. And Jeff Hardy was like, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. And then from then on, like, they got booked every week because that's who they wanted. So it's a very similar story that you can take that small role that you're in and really parlay it into something. I don't think this I think TakeOver might be where that story ends. I think Priest might win it back at that point, but that remains to be seen. But and then maybe, I mean, the guy's clearly light enough. If you couldn't tell from the belt falling down, maybe he goes to 205 and the cruiserweight type stuff, and carves out a nice little career for himself. But it was crazy to see, again, not knowing who. I felt bad I didn't know who the guy was, and then I realized like that was the point, I guess. So that's NXT TakeOver. I don't know if the show is TakeOver War Games, but it's in a few weeks. I think it's the 6th, December 6th.
Yeah.
And War Games has officially been announced with Pat McAfee's crew. Which, do they have a name, or is it just
Yeah. They got they're called the Brand.
Okay, perfect. I assume that's what they're going with. But you got the Brand versus the Undisputed Era, and that storyline has been heating up. I love the they were going to retire the Undisputed Era's banner in the rafters. They end up throwing it in a trash can, setting on fire. Very great old school move that that one was Pat's idea. Sometimes you can tell when they're like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then there's other times where he came up with the skit, and this is definitely something that he came up with. And for him to be in War Games, the announcement of it was great. McAfee's look of like, what did I just get myself into? I don't know where this goes. I mean, I feel like they have to. I mean, the idea of War Games is it's not the elimination style. It's the first pin once all the guys are in. So this is a very winnable match for them. Pete Dunne could pin Bobby Fish. Like, McAfee doesn't have to get a huge win over these guys. He can, This is a very winnable match for them. It really sets up perfectly and I believe Undisputed Era has won it in the past. So I don't think it's one of those like, oh, they keep putting him in these matches just to lose. Like, it won't feel that way. It's set up very organically for them to get a win. Because Pat, obviously, in all his time there, he's had one match and he's lost. So he does need to even it out at some point. And maybe he'll get in the ring a time or two leading up to this and, kind of pad that record a little bit, give more highlight tape for all the news outlets that want it and everything. Yeah. But I definitely see the Brand going over in that. And I don't think that's far-fetched to believe it.
I want to see the post on it. I want to see a show on Monday, right after the 7th of December. Mm-hmm. Gotta watch it. If he wins, oh my gosh, yo! If he gets hurt and shit, that'd be crazy too. Because you see, like, you be like, yeah, that actually hurt. And wrestlers, they ain't fake.
No, he
it might be a little scripted, but it ain't fake.
On his show today, he started the day with his voice was kind of raspy. He's like, if I sound a little different, it's because I got kicked in the mouth by that bastard Adam Cole or whatever he said. But like, he's carrying it into his daily show, which is perfect. Like, it would be a disservice if he just went on a show and kind of ignored that part of his life. But he's kind of blending the two together, and they spend a solid 20 minutes a day on either his storyline or something cool in WWE or NXT like that. They mentioned they wove it pretty cleanly into regular sports talk, which is something I don't know any other show doing that. So he's definitely doing a service for the wrestling business as a whole. And every once in a while, he even has a wrestler or a wrestling industry person as a guest. So I think that's pretty awesome that he's orchestrating it so cleanly into his show.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. Like, I was always thinking, like, they don't do that on ESPN because the only time they really do that on ESPN is really like WrestleMania, SummerSlam type of thing.
When they can have
every week.
They can have Roman or Charlotte Flair in studio, but other than that, they don't do stuff like that.
They don't really talk about it, unless like a celebrity like Pat McAfee comes on there.
That's the only time they really talk about it. Weirdly enough, I caught a little bit of SmackDown. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. And when SmackDown ends, like the local news comes on because it's on Fox. They had a Lacey Evans on the Fox 13 or whatever it is here in studio, like talking to like the newscasters. Just wait for some reason. Yeah,
I noticed that. I noticed that a lot too. Like they had Kofi Kingston on there one time. They had Otis on there.
I did see the Otis one. Yeah,
it's really just because it's on Fox and it's right there.
That's true.
So it's like promotion.
Yeah.
So like they're not gonna have a Raw star on there because the Raw it's not on Fox.
Yeah, and USA doesn't have a news outlet, so like it would make
Yeah.
sense to do it this way. One thing I did notice about the whole Survivor Series, they always got to wear the blue and red shirts. The red shirts, the Raw shirts that AJ Styles passed out, has USA on the back, and then I assume the SmackDown ones will say Fox on the back. So it's like also a battle of like channels as well,
Yeah.
which does give it a little better wrinkle than it's had in the past, I would say.
Yeah. Definitely. I would say I need more stakes. Oh, we're not talking about Survivor Series.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. Coming up next.
Okay.
But so we will jump before we will end the show with Survivor Series type talk. But for now, we got a lot to catch up with in the land of AEW. We'll start here. Full Gear was 2 Saturdays ago. We actually watched it together with some friends and stuff. We'll just run through a couple of the main things that happened. Really was the number 1 contender tournament kicked off the show. I think Donovan actually missed that match, but you missed a good one. Kenny Omega did defeat Adam Page, and he will face Jon Moxley in a few weeks on a special episode of Dynamite that they're calling Winter is Coming. It's like a themed episode based on them, and that was a great match to kick off the show. And Full Gear, this is a sneaky good show. Like there was a lot of great events on here, and to keep the story going of the title changes, really, there was none bigger than actually, we'll jump this one out first. Darby Allin getting over the hump, upsetting Cody, and winning the TNT Championship, which I thought was a great move. I remember we were all sitting there, and I was like, not that Cody couldn't keep running with the title because he's doing fine with it, but like if Darby loses, where does he go from here? And they almost made that the story. Like if he doesn't win this, like does he even belong? Yada yada. He won clean, but he didn't like overpower him. Like and I don't even want to say outsmarted him. He just out wrestled him for 3 seconds, and it was a perfectly done thing. I'm a huge Cody fan. I'd say he's my favorite current wrestler right now. I didn't love how he presented him the belt. Like I think he should have just let Darby have his moment. It reminded me a lot of like Ultimate Warrior when he won the title and like Hogan wouldn't get out of the ring to let him like he celebrated with him the whole time. Yeah. It wasn't quite that bad, but I maybe he wanted the moment to be bigger than it was, but like I think Darby should have just had his moment, and I do think he'll get it. And him being TNT champion is definitely it's great because he's one of those guys that, and I say this about some guys. This is what I love about New Day too. When they're champs, like they're at the point now where they're so good and they can be champs for as long as you want, but at the same time anybody can beat them. It's not one of those like when Cody was champion, it took a really interesting situation for him to drop the belt. With Darby, it's like he's great and he's tough, but he's also like 160 pounds, so anybody could beat him on any given day. Yeah. So like whoever they decide to drop it with, it'll make sense. So he's a perfect guy for that title, at least for a good while.
Yeah, I thought it was a good move. I like Darby. He reminds me of young Jeff Hardy. I think we said that before. Mm-hmm. He's really good. He's really good. He's young too. It was like 20. He's in early 20s, right?
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely like a Jeff Hardy Sting hybrid.
Yeah.
But no, I think he'll be great moving forward, and his storyline with Team Taz is looks like where they're going with that. Who's going to challenge him for the belt necessarily, we don't know, but that does seem where his story is going. So he will probably be defending the belt against one of those guys.
I will say this: I did not like what they did yesterday or this past Wednesday, AEW with the main event. I don't like the fact that Darby shouldn't have took that pin. I feel like Cody should have took the pin, mm-hmm. just because it's Cody. Cody can't. It's not gonna hurt Cody.
Right.
It's not hurt him at all. But Darby just won the title. Give him some wins under his belts. And if he does lose, don't let him get pinned.
Yeah, I agree with that, and a lot of people are saying what you're saying. I do think if he had to take the pin, losing to Brian Cage was the right move. It wasn't Ricky Starks. You know what I mean? So, while I agree that maybe he didn't need to take the pin, at least he did it in a way that made sense. He didn't have to. If it was Ricky Starks, I would have also – not that I have any problem with Ricky Starks. I actually really like that guy. But Brian Cage beating him the way he beat him with that, top rope avalanche powerbomb type move that he did, I think it made enough sense. But I agree. He needs to get a couple wins. Hopefully next week he defends the belt, maybe against Ricky Starks or something, and he retains and he gets a win under his belt for sure. So I totally see where you're coming from, but I was okay with it once I thought about it.
I will say this though. I have a feeling that they're gonna have Brian Cage go against Darby Allin just because he could say that, oh, I pinned you,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that type the WWE move. So I should get my title shot,
Yeah. I
We'll
mean, it
see.
would be interesting with him being the FTW champ right now, and
Yeah.
Cody on their AEW podcast did a quick couple minutes on like that belt doesn't matter. It mattered back in the 90s. It doesn't now. So I don't know. Is Cody going to get in the mix of the FTW title to win it, to get rid of it or something? I mean, that could be interesting. It could go a couple different ways with that, So we will also mention another title change, more on Team Taz actually here in a minute, but the biggest title change of the night is the Young Bucks finally getting to the top of the mountain, beating FTR in a match that was the journey to get there is not the journey we were expecting. At one point, both these teams were heels, and you didn't know how it was all going to go. All that aside, this match was fantastic. I love they kind of ran out of their own moves, so they started doing moves from opponents that they've had. The Bucks do the Hardys moves because they face them in Ring of Honor, and FTR does a bunch of old school moves. They do some moves that the Bar did. They do the DIY moves. That was a great storytelling, and both teams had significant injuries. And for the Bucks to win with a super kick with a bare foot because they took his boot off to really like hammer home that ankle, for him to win with a barefoot super kick, I thought was fantastic. And they go in the back and they have like championship shirts and hats, and that's something you don't normally see in wrestling. But they had the Kenny brought them. It wasn't champagne because the Bucks don't drink, but it was like sparkling water or whatever the hell, and they were doing the whole spraying thing in the locker room. Great match.
The finals.
yeah, and the shirts were of course Laker branded because they're California boys and all that. But for a match that really was 7 years in the making, obviously we'll get it again at some point. This is not going to be the only time, but the journey to get there was not what it should have been, but the destination was every bit as good as advertised, I thought.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know who their next challengers will be necessarily, but this past week on Dynamite, they did take on a young team called Top Flight. And a quick little rewind story. Years and years ago, when I would watch TNA all the time, the Motor City Machine Guns were, the guys. It was Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. And I was chilling at Jeremy's house. Shout out to Jeremy. Sometimes he listens, sometimes he doesn't. But he's like, I don't know if you watched Impact this week, but you have to check out this match with these guys called, and they weren't known as the Young Bucks. They were Generation Me at the time. And it was like, I don't know who these guys are, but watch how good they are against the Guns. And it was fantastic. And this match with Top Flight, same thing. I don't know who these guys are. I've never seen them before. But for them to go toe-to-toe with the Young Bucks in their style, too, that was the most exciting part about it. I'm excited to see more of these guys. And, it was the Motor City Machine Guns, then it's the Young Bucks. I think Top Flight's got next. I think we just got a little preview into the future of the tag division in wrestling with these young guys. They're brothers that are, I think they said 19 and 21. So they're, they are babies.
They're really young. They're green as hell, yo.
Yeah, the 19-year-old is the youngest guy to appear on Dynamite. Male participant, JR said at least. So I mean that's proof of it right there. But the tag division is definitely in good hands. I mean, I don't know who the Bucks can lose to. I think they will have the belts for a good long time. But it does make it a little harder to book that division because you want the Bucks to be champions for a good amount of time. And it would take, similar to the Cody thing, it takes the right story to get the belts off them. And then obviously FTR will win them back at some point. I don't think they're going to be one and done. I would be shocked if, they leave the company after this little run and they go do other stuff. I think they're here for a while as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they still could do other stuff too, like New Japan and all that. I don't know if you heard. I'm sorry, just randomly. But I don't know if you heard. But Impact and AEW talking about working together, partnering up.
I have heard of that a little bit due to at Full Gear they actually had the
Don
EVP Don Callis. I did forget his name, but yeah, he was there for Kenny Omega's match because he's Canadian. He kind of helped Kenny break into the business and everything. So they definitely have some back and forth things. They even mentioned. Last week, Brian Cage faced Matt Sydal, and they mentioned how they've had a great feud for the TNA X Division title and stuff, and it's so great. Yes, this is off topic, but it deserves to be talked about. WWE is so like close to the chest, and like, how dare you mention any other company ever? Like, even they'll mention Japan every once in a while, but they don't mention New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
But no, I love that AEW will just mention other companies, and John Moxley's the IWGP US champion, and Kenny is the AAA, mega heavyweight champion. Like, they don't mind mentioning these other companies and promotions. They're obviously working with the NWA because the women's title for them has done great recently. NWA given that time to shine. I'm okay with them not showing Nick Aldis because that's too many cooks in the kitchen. You don't need two world champions, I don't think. I don't think they want him to step on, the AEW world title. So it's probably safe to keep him off. Maybe in the future he could defend the NWA title in AEW as like a one-off, but other than that. But no, TNA has a lot of great talent. So if they can, I still call it TNA. I know it's Impact now, but I mean, if any of those guys could get on AEW for a meaningful feud, or vice versa, I would love to see some of the, lower mid-card guys get a shot in Impact and do a couple little things. And, I mean, it will only make both shows great. So I'm all for it if we get more of it. I think it's going to be minimal. I think it's, they don't want to overdo it because then it won't be special. But I think when they put their heads together, Don Callis is a very smart guy, and so is Tony Khan and all those guys. So I think if they do it right, it makes for some really good, dream matches that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah. This is what I wish WWE was like not hard headed and would have done the same thing. We could have done a lot of good things, just like how they did with WCW.
Yeah.
I think that was like the last time they actually partnered with someone. Well, this man bought it out, but still.
Yeah.
I feel like it would make the product a lot much better. Different matches, intriguing matches. Like I wouldn't mind seeing even though they fought in WWE already. I wouldn't mind seeing New Day go against Doc and Anderson.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see Doc and Anderson against the Bucks, just champion versus champion, just pride on the line, former Bullet Club members. That could main event a pay-per-view. If you want to give Moxley a pay-per-view off, main event it with that. It'd be perfect. And shout out to TNA for the Good Brothers did win the titles this past Saturday. Another title change. Got a lot of title changes in the world of wrestling right now. They did win the Impact Tag titles, and that was eventually going to be the move when you sign guys, big stars like that. But no, for them, if they were to ever get a chance on AEW while holding the Impact banner, that'd be great for both companies, I think. So we mentioned a little bit about Team Taz and how that's kind of where the TNT picture is going. Team Taz grew by one this past week with Willie Hobbs, as JR calls him.
Say two, man.
Joining,
two, man. That's a big boy, man.
That's every week, if anyone that follows me on Twitter, because when he first started, he was just on Dark, right? And he was actually losing a lot, even because he was just jumping in. And I was like, here's my weekly post, just letting everybody know what a mark I am for Will Hobbs and do something with this guy. And he's actually liked my tweets a few times, just showing them like, how do you look at this guy and not see star like tattooed across his forehead? And I'm glad they saw it. If I could see it from home, they could see it from where they sit. So it did not take long. It took him, he was a month or two on Dark to get involved, and they really did some great storytelling here because it looked like he was on Cody's side. He would always help run off Team Taz, but he'd always get there a little late. He never actually engaged against them. He would bring a chair to the ring and act like he was going to swing it and then just kind of throw it to the side. He never, made contact with them. And then he, this past week, he picked up the FCW title, and Cody went to kind of pat him on the back to say thanks, and he clobbers him with the belt, and it was beautiful. And then that ending shot of Brian Cage, who's huge, and Will Hobbs, who's huge, and Taz, who's a badass, and Ricky Starks, who's just that like perfect clash between the other big guys. Like this Team Taz is like Taz is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and to see him like still giving back to the business in a faction like this is fantastic. And I would love for Will Hobbs. It would kind of suck if Darby's reign as TNT champion isn't super long, but if it's got to go to someone, I would love to see Will Hobbs get that shot, because I don't know that it needs to be Brian Cage because he's already toting around a belt, even if it's an unofficial one. And Ricky Starks he's not the dude to hold the belt in that group. So I mean, it could be a great vehicle for Will Hobbs if they do eventually go there with it.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty cool. I'll narc out a little bit.
Yeah,
For that.
I'm excited to see. And it is funny to think, between that you got Team Taz is 3 wrestlers. You got SCU is 3 wrestlers. You got was it Best Friends and Orange
Triangle.
Cassidy? You got 3. You got a lot of Death Triangle. The family is now down to Eddie Kingston and the Butcher and the Blade. There was a funny thing on BTE where the Bucks had said if they didn't win the tag titles, they would never challenge for them again. They pulled the Cody thing. And they said, well, what do we do if we lose? And I forget which Buck said what, but he's like, don't worry, I have a backup plan. And he showed a picture of TNT tag titles as like a joke. But a story that's been picking up heat is what if, doesn't have to be TNT tag titles, but what if they did eventually bring in a trios championship? If they, a 6-man tag title like Ring of Honor or Japan or Mexico has, like if any American company is going to do well with 6-man tag belts, because Ring of Honor's shown it can be done, I think it's a slam dunk if AEW ends up, going that route eventually. It would be great because their tag division is so deep. And if the Bucks are going to run with it for a while, there's so many teams that could have great matches for a secondary tag belt. And I think to make it a 6-man, a 3-person team type belt would just give it a whole nother flavor. So this is a rumor that's been picking up steam, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, they should definitely do it because they got all these damn factions already. You got Inner Circle. You got hell. You can even throw Private Party and Matt Hardy together.
You sure could. Yeah.
Them three have been together. There's so many different factions. It's crazy.
And maybe they've been, moving towards it the whole time, and which would be great because there was a rumor. I think it was we talked about one of our favorite Dynamites was the Jericho Cruise, the one on the cruise ship. And around that time, Kenny said by the next Jericho Cruise, which would be January, without COVID, it would have been in January, that they were going to unveil 6-man tag team titles. And that kind of got buried. It was said, but then it kind of got washed away. So I think the writing's on the wall that that's a goal they want to do, and I would love to see it happen. And I think Team Taz winning it, the first time, or Death Triangle or any of those guys, like that's one belt that you could hot potato because it's something that happens in Ring of Honor. Like it changes all the time, and it's fun. It's meant to just like give these charismatic 3-man teams, things to do. So if you were ever gonna hot potato a AEW belt, that would be the belts that you could do it, and it wouldn't bother anybody, which would make it great, I think.
Oh yeah, I think it would be cool.
Yeah. The last AEW thing I need to talk about, which is from last week, and I've been thinking about this whole situation for since it's happened. And when you think of greatest like promos of all time, you think of guys like Dusty Rhodes, you think of CM Punk, you think of Harley Race, you think of The Rock. I never thought I was gonna add Brandy Rhodes to that list. But holy shit, man. The last week when Cody's out there cutting his normal promo, some jacked lady by the name of Jade Cargill, which they can do better with her name, unless that's her real name, in which case, sorry. But so she comes out and she is, fumble fucking over her words. She can – Cody, you call yourself the Giant Killer. I don't know that he's ever done that. And she says nothing about you is giant, which, dig to him, I guess. But, but long story short, I guess Shaq is going to come to AEW and fight Cody. And like the whole time you're dealing with, what the hell did I just watch? Out comes Brandy, calling her every name in the book. It turned into Jerry Springer, real quick. Pretty sure she called this woman who's maybe 3% body fat a heifer, which, I mean, maybe I'm a little lost on the term, but you preserve that insult for like heavier of ladies. So I don't know where she got that from. But no, this was fantastic. It doesn't mean anything, and it was really dumb. But oh my god, this was one of the greatest things they've done on TV.
Well, it's giving them a storyline.
Yeah.
Because now, as you saw yesterday, it's a storyline now. So I'm all for it. Like you said, it was Brandy laid into her, but other shawty, yeah, she got to work on those promo skills.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like she's gonna be tag teamed with Nyla Rose.
Yes,
And
I see
have
that coming
so they
too.
can have so Vicky Guerrero could be the mouthpiece.
Yeah. But the thing with and some people are like, oh my god, I didn't know Brandy had that like way about her, and like if you it just takes a little bit of research. Brandy's from Detroit, like that came from a real place. She knows how to dig into somebody for sure. But that was great, and I think that was a good place to end the AEW catch up stuff because that's I was a little disappointed. The next week they just had the chick put Brandy's arm in the chair, and I guess they said she had a white fracture. Like they should have opened with something. Like if this girl isn't really strong in the promo, have her just be like, oh, who is this lady? I'm glad they did it the way they did because we got the greatest promo in
Yeah.
AEW history out of it. But no, I mean they I think they're gonna work backwards with her. Now she's gonna not talk as much. If she's gonna be with Nyla and Vicky can be the mouthpiece for them, which would also work out fine.
Yeah.
So I think coming a little bit towards the end here, we do have Survivor Series on Sunday. For the first time in a while, I think their pay-per-view card is actually set for a couple days before the show. I can't see them adding anything else, so we'll run through these real quick on our way out here. I guess we can pick winners, but we'll just touch on them for a minute. There's only every match here is brand warfare. They're going with that strategy again, and we were wondering if NXT was going to be involved, and the whole reason they're not is obviously they have a takeover that they're planning for, which is probably for the best. You don't need to shoehorn them in if they have their own storylines going, which is fine. You have Team Raw, AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Riddle, and I guess he lost his mat somewhere because now he's just Riddle, I guess. Team SmackDown is Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and TBD. We don't know who that last person is. I don't know if you have any guesses. And then, so AJ's been the whole, I'm going to be the team captain. I'm going to rile us to victory. And I think that they might win, not because of anything AJ does, but because they win. You'll be like, see, guys, I was a great captain. Like, that's where I see that story going.
Yeah.
Where do you see for this match?
I see AJ probably being a lone wolf, and then he gets the win. I don't really want AJ to be the lone wolf. I'd rather Keith Lee be the lone wolf again.
Mm-hmm.
But Keith Lee actually come up and get the win. And then he gets the win off of Jey Uso. So and then Roman Reigns is upset because Jey Uso made the family look bad by letting Keith Lee beat him.
If SmackDown has to win, I would actually love to see Jey Uso be the sole survivor because he has stepped up so well in these main event matches, and obviously he's facing Roman, so he doesn't get to win any of them. So this would be a great, win that he gets, almost a way to you deserve this moment for knocking the role they put you in out of the park. So if SmackDown wins, I'm all for Jey Uso being the reason.
Yeah, as long as it's not King Corbin, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you know what? I'd be a little pissed if it was Sheamus too. We've seen Sheamus enough.
Yeah.
So as long as it's not them, I think we're all right. This one's a little harder to call. You got the ladies Survivor Series match. 2 members of Team SmackDown. I think it's due to injuries. We don't know who's joining Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, and Bianca Belair, but they will be facing on the Raw side Lacey Evans, Lana, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, and Peyton Royce. I picked Team Raw for the men's match, so just to even it out. I'm thinking whoever the other 2 ladies are for SmackDown, maybe they get the win because they have to even it out a little bit. Because Raw swept SmackDown last year, so I don't think they're going to run that story again. So SmackDown's got to get some wins. So maybe the SmackDown ladies win this one. This one's a lot harder to pick.
Now I will say this: I have a feeling that. Mark my words. Make sure you're recording. You're recording this. You're recording.
We're recording. I see the thing.
This is what is it, a bold take? Is that what it's called? A hot take. Hot take.
Yep.
All right. I see in the beginning of the match, Nia Jax is going to put Lana through the table.
Guaranteed.
Right? And then Nia Jax is going to be going against probably Bianca Belair. It's going to be Bianca Belair and Nia Jax in the ring at the same time. Bianca Belair is going to pin Nia Jax, thinking that she won, but she didn't, because
You still
Lana
got Lana
is
to
still
deal with.
around.
Yeah.
And then Lana comes in, after actually celebrating 1, 2, 3, Team Raw wins.
I could see that for sure. I think Lana's going through that table regardless. That first part you nailed because we got to keep the streak going at this point is how it works now. But yeah, I mean that one is a little harder to call, but I think you got a good grip on that situation. Champion versus champion, you got Bobby Lashley, a member of the Hurt Business, U.S. champ against Sami Zayn, the IC champ. I think Bobby wins this because the Hurt Business are on a tear, and Sammy's invincible, man. It doesn't matter. As long as he's got that belt and he can keep running his mouth, he can lose this match and it ain't no thing. So I got Bobby Lashley winning this one. Probably relatively one-sided even, I would say, because Sammy can run away from him and all that stuff. So I'm going Bobby here.
I got Sammy just because Sammy's been doing these tricks. Tricks and treats. I don't know if you saw last Friday, but he was going against Apollo. And he had Apollo's leg stuck in the ropes underneath the ring, and he got the count out victory. So
I did see that.
Ever since he won, he's been setting people up.
Okay.
So I just see Sami Zayn winning, but I wouldn't be mad if Bobby Lashley wins.
I could see his tricks running out on Bobby too, but you never know exactly. But that one could easily go either way. Because the thing about these matches, like some of them are cool and it's cool to see champion versus champion. They don't mean anything. They're almost non-canon. So it's like a guy can take a loss here and there. It's really not as big a deal. The champion versus champion tag team edition, you got the New Day against the Street Profits. This match should be a unification match. It's not, but it should be. I just want to throw that out there again. We've talked about it, I think, the past 2 episodes. It's not. The New Day are great and fantastic. Do you think the Street Profits maybe need the rub? Like maybe they catch the New Day on this? Like I'm leaning that way because the New Day winning doesn't really. It's just more of the same.
Yeah, I see this. I see Street Profits winning because it's a big win.
Yeah,
it's a real. You're going against one of the best tag teams in the world.
Yeah,
in the New Day.
And so, it doesn't hurt the New Day. They'll come out next Friday on Monday throwing pancakes and shit, and they'll be fine. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, everything will be good. And I think it'll be cool, too, because then you can sprinkle in, because, Big E's over there on SmackDown. You can sprinkle in now Big E going against Dawkins or Big E going against Montez in a singles match.
Do you think Big E will be the guy filling in for Team SmackDown? I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any.
Or they run like a last chance
battle royal on the pre-show or something. Yeah, or that would work. I mean, it's what? It's
I wouldn't mind Big E. I would love Big E to be
I think him would be fine. I think Jeff Hardy would be fine, but I know he's doing the thing with Elias and everything.
No, Jeff Hardy's on Raw.
Oh, this fucking draft, man! I get so annoyed. He was on SmackDown like a month ago, so yeah. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan.
They could have Daniel Bryan. Who else? Ray was also in one of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're gonna have Ray and
Rollins on the same team. Yeah, I don't know if they could do that. So yeah, I'm thinking Big E. I don't know who else you go with unless you just pick somebody randomly out of Ali randomly has to. No, they're on Raw now. See, I caught myself on that one. But okay, yeah. So running everything I'm running here, I don't see how it's not Big E. I don't know who else it could be. Champion versus champion women's edition. Next, we got Asuka and Sasha Banks. Also a toss up. This doesn't feel special because they've had so many matches against each other recently and prior, and they will in the future. Not that this won't be good, but I don't care because we've seen it so much. I'll just throw Asuka out there because I don't know. I'm throwing her out there. What do you think?
I see Sasha still continue winning. Now I think Asuka needs the win though. If anything,
probably right.
Out of the two, I think she does need the win just because she hasn't really gone against no one. I mean, yeah, she went against Zelina, and that's about it, really.
Yeah,
so why not?
Yeah, this one could go either way. This one's even harder to me. What I assume is the main event. Big Dog versus Bigger Dog. You got Drew McIntyre, the new WWE champion Drew McIntyre, and Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. maybe some Jey Uso interference here that Roman gets the win. I don't know. I think the whole story they've been digging is Roman was like, too bad you're not champ, so we don't get to find out who's the better man. And then, psych, I am the champ again. So, I don't know. Maybe Drew, just to humble Roman a little bit, and he can take it out on the rest of the family that he failed at something for once. That's all I got for this. I don't know what else it could be.
Yeah, but then also I don't know if you want Roman losing. I don't know if they want Roman losing because since Roman is so hot right now, it's like you don't want to call it. Even though he could take a loss, like you said, it's not like he's going. It's not for the title or anything.
Yeah,
and he's going against Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre beat Brock Lesnar early in the year.
So I mean, that's the problem with a match like this. Like both these dudes, like they're your guy. They're not supposed to take losses, and now one of them has to. Unless the Fiend comes out. Unless the Fiend comes out and ruins it for both guys, and the match just ends in a heap. Like somebody's got to win. So either way,
Randy Orton comes out, he's pissed off.
Yeah, something like that. I guess the Fiend is on what show? Raw now, right? Okay, so so I don't know, and he's still got plenty of beef with Roman and the other guys. So like I don't know, maybe I'm picking the Fiend to just fuck everything up. We'll see. But that is the 6 matches that we will. I'm looking forward to the show. It's not run to my television good, but Survivor Series is always fun, man. Other than I love the Royal Rumble. It's my favorite thing. I'll finally get to in January share with the world the Royal Rumble game that I've been playing for years and years with people. Donovan's participated in it. But aside from that, I do enjoy Survivor Series because there is a little bit of the gimmick of the elimination match. I miss the days where there was several of these. You almost had your main event elimination match, and then you had your mid-carder one, your throwaway match that you just put a bunch of I kind of miss that. I don't mind the brand warfare, the champion versus champion, but I don't know. It's not quite as good as it used to be, but it should be a decent show.
I feel like that should be for Clash of Champions. If you asking me, I think that should be Clash of Champions.
I almost said that just now, but really, Clash of Champions is meant for every match to be a championship match. That's the point of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they ever wanted to unify some of these belts. I think Clash of Champions or Night of Champions, whatever they're calling it now, would be the perfect time to do that. Couple closing discussions here for those that I didn't actually know this was happening. A buddy of mine told me. Shout out to Jeremy. They ran obviously Survivor Series is supposed to be the 30th anniversary of The Undertaker. That whole situation. They are supposedly going to do something with him. I think he's going to be there. They're going to do something, involving The Undertaker at Survivor Series. And due to this, they've been putting a lot of Undertaker content on the network. And they actually last night dropped a hour-long special, not just on The Undertaker, but actually on the Brothers of Destruction. And it's just Kane and The Undertaker sitting across from each other out on stage and just talking about their careers, how they intersected and kind of were interwoven, ever since. And I love all the love The Undertaker gets. He deserves it. But Kane deserves just as much. So for him to be involved in this on some extent, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's about 45 minutes. It's fantastic. But, Kane's with his, political avenues and everything is pretty much out of the business at this point. I do hope he gets the kind of love that Taker is getting and deserves, but Kane deserves it, I think, just as much. I don't think either guy is where they are without each other. They kind of help made each other's careers.
Definitely. And if we're talking about Undertaker content, actually, I just got done watching it before we started our video. The Undertaker was on Hot Ones.
Billy just sent me that, and I have yet to watch that, but I did see that today. So it's worth a watch?
It's worth the watch. Yeah, Undertaker was a little bitch on that.
Of all things, I mean, this dude gargles Jack Daniels, but can't handle hot sauce, I guess. Yo. Yeah. But all right, so I'll check that out, and then you got to check out the Brothers of Destruction thing. Deal?
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right,
cool. All right. One last, to quote Woody from Toy Story, one minor note here, but the Thunderdome is moving across the state. We are leaving the Amway Center due to the NBA season kicking off here in a month or so. My Orlando Magic got to get their house back. So they are moving out of the Amway, and they're moving into Tropicana Field in Tampa, home of the Tampa Bay Rays. Your American pennant champions, Tampa Bay Rays, actually. But, so, yeah, they're moving. It will be a domed, ball field. it'll have a different setting. I think once they're set up, it'll feel. But it's almost cool. It'll refresh the Thunderdome. I think the Thunderdome has been an overall success. The atmosphere is so much better. You almost wish they could have came up with this in time for WrestleMania this past year. But beggars can't be choosers. You can't expect them to know a global pandemic's coming. But are you excited to see a little twist up of moving Tropicana and seeing a little different Thunderdome?
Yeah, I'm actually excited because like it's in a baseball field. That's a baseball field.
Yeah.
And most of the time they're like the only time they're really in a baseball field is whenever they have these big pay-per-views.
Yeah.
They're always in arenas. Now this is a whole stadium. So I'm cool. I'm cool with it. I want to see how it's gonna look. We'll finally get to see it on Friday, next Friday.
Yep.
So let's see it. I want to see it.
It'll be cool. I mean, the last time they were in a baseball stadium, it feels like a lifetime ago, but January for the Royal Rumble, they were in Houston. And that was a great, setup. And I'm curious how they're going to do it because obviously that just leaves more room for the LED screens. More people, that want to be virtual fans will have the opportunity to be it because there'll be that many more, screens to be available and everything. So, you almost wish they could make the move in time for Survivor Series because it would make Survivor Series seem that much bigger,
Yeah, bigger,
that way. But I guess they'll be there for the Royal Rumble at least, so that'll be cool. Because again, they were in a ball field for Royal Rumble last year, so if they can do it again here, more power to them. But I think
it would also be cool. I'm sorry.
It'd
be really cool if they did NXT War Games there.
They should. They really should because they'll need the space, I think, for the 2 rings.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a great
rings, big ass cage.
Yeah, there's no reason they can't. I mean, they're already in Orlando. They just got to drive the hour and a half, down the road. Or it's probably a little longer because Tropicana is more in like St. Pete, which is a little bit farther away. So maybe 2 hours. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know if they'll get it in time, but well, you said it'll be next Friday, so yeah, maybe it will be. That would be cool. That remains to be seen. I think next episode by then we'll have the full fleshed out Takeover War Games card, so we can definitely talk on that. But other than that, guys, thank you all for listening. Enjoy Survivor Series this weekend. Check out that Brothers of Destruction special. You will not be sorry. I think Donovan's about to do it as soon as we get done with it. I got to check out an episode of Hot Ones. So we will see you guys later. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.